the heart and soul behind every business. Stories. Welcome to Business Story of the Week, hosted by me, Joshua Laurie. From setbacks to comebacks, from tragedies to triumphs, we inspire entrepreneurs through conversations that matter. Witness the magic that turns dreams into reality. Whether it's your career, business, or life, your success is always one story away. This is Business Story of the Week. And welcome back, folks. Welcome back to Business Story of the Week. I am your host, Joshua, here for you today once more. And our question today is actually, can mastering your mindset be the secret weapon to outsmarting the stock market? Is it really all about just mindset and psychology? Is it just that? Is that the answer? Well, the answer to that question is going to be answered and presented to us by none other our guest today, Louise Bedford. Louise Bedford is the founder of tradinggame.com.au and the host of talkingtrading.com.au. She is a best-selling author of 6 books on investing and trading and an expert in behavioral finance with degrees in psychology and business. Louise is dedicated to educating others on how to successfully trade the stock market and leave their 9 to 5 jobs. The dream, right? Her expertise and insights have helped countless individuals navigate the complexities of trading with confidence and success. And today she shares with us that success, her insights, her perspective, her everything, her energy, her enthusiasm right now. I love it. I'm just so excited to have her on the show. Louise, thank you for coming on here. How are you doing?
Oh, Joshua, it is such a privilege to be on your show. I'm loving listening to your show. As a
Oh,
fellow podcast host, I know what that does to one to get involved with somebody's ideas and in their
yes,
mind,
exactly.
drag that gold out of them. So you are doing beautifully.
Oh, thank you. Well, you are looking beautifully as yourself today, Louise. Thank you so much for being on the show, and quite excited again to pick your brains on this particular topic today. You're going to be with us to be teaching us. You have an expressive background, first of all, in psychology and business. It's quite the combination, of course. Both go hand in hand very well. Can you share us first what initially drew you to the world of trading? Or rather, did you always know as a child that you were going to get into trading? Why psychology? Why business? What is the story of Louis Bedford?
Yeah, look, I do think I've always loved money. One of
Mm,
my favorite toys growing up was this little money box coffin that had a skeletal hand that leapt out of the grave and dragged a coin into the grave. I just thought
right.
that thing was fantastic. I loved
Wow.
counting money. I loved the
Right.
opportunities that it opened. And being brought up in a home where there wasn't that much money, I think the
Mhm.
mystique of money being an escape really
Right.
took form in my mind. So,
Mhm.
yes, I have adored money from a very early age. And when I started out as a
Mhm.
trader, the reason why is
Mhm.
because I went to a seminar and they
Right.
said from stage, there are 3 ways to make money. You can get
Mm,
involved in property, you can get involved in the stock market,
right.
or you can own your own business. And the majority of multimillionaires have 1 or 3 of those happening. And I
Mm,
went, wow, the lights are on. From
right.
that moment on, I was a trader. So I've
Wow.
been trading since 1990. It is
Wow.
the way that I make my money, and it's something that I love to teach other people to do because it is perhaps simpler than the majority of people think, Joshua.
Mhm. Mhm. Wow. Okay. So first off, that very early on, that same hand reaching out from the grave, grabbing that coin, was perhaps the same metaphorical arm that drew you into. I love how you just opened up with, I love money. I love money. As a child, I've always loved money. Well, of course, who doesn't, right? But I love that you bring such an energy and enthusiasm about it. But in trading in particular as well, because it is true that it is one of the three secrets, so to speak, in wealth, in building generational wealth. Not just wealth in particular. But trading is not so easy. It's terrifying actually. But before we really get into the whole trading aspect of it, I understand that there's a psychology that is involved with it. When you first got into trading, 1990, you said? A long
Yes,
time
yes.
ago. And it has evolved for a very long time to what it is now today. First off, how did you see yourself starting from back then? And how do you see the psychology evolving, how it approached trading, if it changed at all, the fundamentals of it, back then to what it is now? And how
I
did
do.
you really get started?
Yeah, look, I do think there are a few things that you've brought out there. One of them is that often people drive forward with one foot on the accelerator and the other foot on the brake.
Right.
We stop ourselves before we achieve. We prevent ourselves from exploring areas that we find uncomfortable. And I'm
Interesting.
going to pick you up on something, Joshua.
Please,
You said it
please.
can be terrifying. Now,
Mm,
I'm hearing what you're saying because under it all, I think we are all scared little children. We are waiting for an adult to tell us what to do, and we don't feel capable of growing into that role. So, the first thing I want to say is that, with the psychology point of view here,
okay.
let's put our hat on here
Right.
as a psychologist to ourselves.
Right.
We need to analyze our own fears. We need to look at the areas that we need to improve upon
Right.
in order to achieve. Like, if you don't say to yourself, I love money, what you're saying to yourself is, I don't deserve money. Other
There you
people
go.
deserve money.
Yes.
I shouldn't have that much money in my
I
account.
love it.
How
I
dare
love
I
it.
achieve?
I
That
love it.
syndrome that is hanging over so
Mm,
many of us is often developed in childhood. We are
oh, of
told things
course.
that are in our psyche, and it translates into our adult behavior.
Mm,
So, the first thing I think we all need to do is work out, where do we want to be? Financially, where do we want to be? What do we want? If you had unlimited opportunity, where would you like to end up in life? What are the cars that you'd like to drive? What are the holidays you'd like to go in on? What are the schools you'd like to send your children to? What experiences do you want to open up for yourself and your family? And that has to be the starting point,
yeah.
because then you can backward scaffold into achieving that lifestyle that you want so much.
I
Now,
love that. I love
has
that.
it changed? Has it changed over time? I'm going to say no. I think
Wow.
the specifics have changed, how to put a
Hmm.
trade onto the market,
Yeah.
but that idea about starting with the end in mind,
Yeah.
that is perennial.
I love that. I love that. First of all, what you're doing is you're kind of flipping the psychology behind it, right? The way we perceive money, the way we treat it, the way we approach it in our mindset is just particularly challenging for us, especially here in the Philippines. It's a particular stigma, right? Literally, we grew up on thinking like the protagonist is always the poor person. And the antagonist is always that rich person. So we're taught this, that like money is bad or having too much money is bad. It's giving us the psychology of how we treat money, how we approach the money psychology in a way that yeah, I don't need to make that much money. I could be happy. But here's the thing, it's completely flipped, right? We need money first of all, but of course our dreams and the aspirations that we have in life can be achieved with a little shift in money psychology. And of course, you're saying now that this is possible and this can be done through trading. Talk to us a little bit about the trading. Introduce us to that world and the dynamics of how you got into it. And did you start off with a 9 to 5? And how did you transition into trading?
I did. I did start off
Okay.
with a 9 to 5. I ended up working for a company that looked after credit information because
Interesting.
I was still thinking, well, I want to trade on the side, but
Mhm.
maybe if I can get a job where that can help my trading, wouldn't that be fun? It didn't help. It didn't help at all. I
Right.
had every piece of financial information about every company around the world at
Mhm.
my fingertips, and it didn't help me make better
Oh my
decisions. So that was unfortunate. What did help was
God.
working out where people were actually putting their money. So, looking at a
Oh.
share chart, looking to see, are people buying this thing or are they
Mhm.
selling this thing?
Mhm.
And looking at those pictures and making that assumption, and it is a bit of an assumption, that's what
Right.
has happened in the past will
Mhm.
continue to happen in the future. So,
Yes, there you go.
if somebody's loving a company and they're putting money in, and enough of their friends are, and enough of the world is, then
Yes, yes,
that is likely to have momentum. So,
precisely.
that is that concept that I think is one of those first principles of trading. Looking at charts, looking at price, looking at volume action, and really working out now when do I get involved, because that
There you go.
translates to the action step.
Mhm.
So even if you've never even seen a share chart,
Yeah.
call up a share chart on the internet. You can just search for a company that you know, look at that share chart and look to see whether it is going up, down, or sideways. There's only three things that the market can do. If it's going up,
Interesting.
you buy it. If it's going
Mhm.
down, you sell it. And if it's
Mhm.
going sideways, you wait. Now,
There you
they
go.
are the
That's it.
simple rules of getting involved in trading. And the
Mhm.
more you can work on your trading system and your
Right.
trading mindset, the
Yes.
simpler it will be. It
Yeah,
has
of
been
course.
something that even when I had a job, I just felt like I wanted more. I
Mm,
deserved more. It was
mm,
something that it was like a nag in my
yes.
mind that I couldn't
Yes.
let go.
Right.
And when it came time to leave my job, I'm so
Mhm.
lucky I had trading on the side because I
Yeah.
dug my well before I was thirsty.
Wow, that is incredible, and that is again, of course, a dream. Leaving your 9 to 5, but how do you do it? How did you get started? I love that you simplified it. Charts. Just look at the charts. There's data everywhere. The data is actually so vast that we've seen patterns repeat itself over and over again. I love that, and it's true. We are species that are very good at spotting patterns. We've become very, very good at that. And the market itself has all these different patterns that has been happening for decades. And for now, we're starting to see how to predict them better. You have your indicators, you have your, again, these things that are happening over and over. I have a little bit of experience trading indices. Particularly, I traded in, um, I wanted to simplify my, that to simplify my own trading. I did SP 500 and the, uh, I keep forgetting the other one, but
The
the
NASDAQ?
indices. The
Yeah.
There's another one. It's slipping my mind. It's right there. It
Might
was
be
just right
the
there.
Russell. Yeah.
Yeah, but the big indices, it was just only one or two of them. But I wanted to simplify it. I wanted to go long term. I studied it the same way. I studied while I was doing my 9 to 5. I was looking at charts and patterns. My sister was doing the same thing. Practically the entire family tried to learn it. Again, what really came down to is mindset, the psychology behind it. I would love to delve more into a bit of psychology, but you mentioned indicators. You mentioned simplifying the system, seeing when it buys, seeing when to sell, seeing when to wait. Louise, without getting very into the specifics, because I understand that's what makes people really terrified. Like, what are she talking about? There's so many stuff to learn, and that is the barrier, really, right? Apart from the mindset barrier of actually doing the trading or fixing the psychology and how you approach it, managing your emotions, right? There's another barrier of learning, right? Like being terrified of the new things that you're going to learn. Talk to us a little bit about overcoming these barriers, overcoming that obstacle of actually, getting into the trading is starting to learn.
Look, I think you're right. Often we do have to get out of our own way in order to
Yeah.
achieve anything.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I do think there are some things here, though, that we underestimate our
Hmm.
own abilities. You
Right.
know, if you think of that little kid trying to learn to walk, they didn't question 2 years into the future, am I going to be able to run? They
Yeah.
just did the basic little steps. And I do think that is something that we all need to focus on. The
Right.
good news is the research shows that the harder you work on your mindset,
Hmm.
the from the research, it shows the better trader you're going to be. Now, there
Mm.
are so many parts to this. It brings things under your control. So, the things that you can control are the things that are going to give you the biggest energy and the biggest boost. So, if you know you can control your mindset, you can learn about what it takes to make money. You can learn about
There you
charts.
go.
You
There you
can
go.
learn about what it takes to really make a splash in the markets. I mean, really, when it comes down to it, it comes down to what is your purpose? What is
That's
the
it.
thing that
That's it.
you are chasing? Now, for
Mhm.
me personally, I'm a big believer in a personal mission statement. That to me guides my life. It helps me say no to things that I don't want to do. And it helps me say yes to things like this podcast because I knew you and I were going to relate to Joshua.
Right.
It
Right.
helps me say yes. Now, if you can work out what your personal mission is, what are you here on this planet to do, to achieve for yourself,
Right.
for your family, for your community, that will guide you. And everything else will fall into place. It's
I
like it
love that.
snaps into place like a
I
little
love that.
robot. Ding, 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 ding. Here we are. We are
Wow.
heading right for where we need to be. That
Love
goes
it.
to be whether you're in the share market, whether you're in business, whatever
Yes.
the line is
That's
that
true.
you're trying
That
to
is true.
achieve, that is just the vehicle. So I do think what you're doing here is fantastic
Hmm.
because you are helping feed that energy and add that fuel for people's inner fire.
That is true. I love that. And I love how you always go back into how do you really want it? Like how bad do you want it? It's always about that. I mean, again, you mentioned it could be real estate, it could be, a business, it could be the stock market, it could be any of those, but the question is how bad do you really want it? I love that we get the opportunity to touch up on that you mentioned this because it when faced with challenges, when faced with adversity, it truly is about how bad do you really want it? Because Louise, I understand that you face a significant challenge yourself, including losing the use of your arms, and you were literally trading with a pen in your mouth. Now, I would not, I would not let the episode end without us talking a bit about that, and that is very important because it goes deep into psychology, right? How did you overcome such adversity first and foremost, and what lessons did you learn along the way that other traders, not just traders really, like entrepreneurs, business owners, individuals in general, how can they apply this to their own journeys?
Yeah, you're right. It was a very dark period. When I left my job, my real
Mm.
job, that was because I couldn't move my arms. So I had about 2 years where I
Oh
lost
my.
the use of my arms and it was incredibly painful. And
Oh.
there was so many different therapies that I had to do to get use of
Mm.
my arms and hands back.
Wow.
But you know what? The one thing I could do is I could punch the keys on the computer if I used a pen in my mouth.
Oh
So
wow.
I got really fast and I got good at it. There
Mhm.
weren't many other occupations that I could do without arms. If you think about how many people are disabled, but their mind is
Mm.
still so
Mm.
fertile and they're
Mhm.
still so on, it's
Mhm.
just their
Mhm.
bodies have let them down.
Yeah.
Now, I recently also had a situation related to that neurological condition where I lost my arms. I lost my voice for 2 years
As
in the
well.
middle of the pandemic.
Oh
So
no.
couldn't speak. And being a chatty person, this was just like
I
some sort
don't
of
see that
slow.
at all, Louise. You're not chatty at all.
So relearning how to speak
Mhm.
very much felt so familiar compared to relearning how to use my arms. It was
Wow.
a very
Wow.
similar mindset. And the thing that held me true
Oh
was
man.
a saying by Ovid, who's one of the philosophers. He said, someday this pain will be useful to you.
Wow. Wow.
I live by that.
I
I
love it.
think we put so many barriers in our own way. And
Hmm.
sometimes that is the thing that is the reason why you were put here. You know, I met
Of
somebody
course.
who only had a small amount of his tongue left after he got his
Right.
tongue cut out because of cancer. I still had
Right.
my tongue. One day I could probably learn to speak again, and I can. So, this is
Oh,
where I do feel everybody needs to reach inside.
yeah.
They need to see what are the lines they've been feeding to themselves
Yeah.
that are just not true. Being that type of person that we want to be consistent, what
Yeah.
is your identity? What do you pride yourself on? What can you
Yeah.
move towards that is going to be bigger than yourself? Now, they are the
Uh,
questions that we need
yeah.
to ask and answer for ourselves. And it might take unplugging from technology, going down to the beach, watching the waves, writing in a book.
I
All of
love
these things can really make us more complete as an individual.
complete. That is
You know,
true.
if we were on our final day on the world,
Mhm.
what are you going to look back on and say, I
Mhm.
was so proud I did this? I
Wow.
succeeded because I overcame this,
I
rather
love
than
that.
just watching another night in front of the TV, rather than just cuddling down under the doona and
Right.
saying, yes, it's warm and I'm not going to get up.
Right.
What can you fight against? And what is your personal journey? So
Mhm.
I love what you're doing here, Joshua, is you are helping people unravel all of that in their own psyche. And that is what I do too. So it's part of being a leader. If you
That's
can't
true.
find that within yourself, you need to find a mentor, because a
Right.
mentor will really help shine a light into your
Right.
blind spots.
Yeah, and you could have really, actually, you could have just thrown in the white flag, the white towel, Louise, especially with what you went through. You could have just easily, you know, that's it. I mean, losing use of both your arms. How
Yeah.
hopeless must that have felt? But it allowed you to overcome that adversity. Talk to me a little bit how you were able to. I mean, of course, you already knew, you already had knowledge in trading, but I understand that trading is, I would probably say, more than half of it is psychology. More than half of it is managing your emotions, in managing that adversity must have contributed so much to this psychology. How did you see yourself trading before and after that adversity? How much did it change your approach in psychology in general, but also specifically in trading?
What you are addressing here is a snap point. Everybody
Wow.
reaches a snap point in their life where there is a
Ooh,
clear before and a clear after. Now,
wow.
my before my snap point,
Hmm.
I was obnoxious, Joshua.
Hmm.
I was
I
a
don't see that
national,
at all.
oh my
Oh, come
gosh,
on. I
I
don't
was a
believe that.
national sales manager at
Okay.
a huge US based company.
Right.
And I had climbed the ladder so that I was
Okay.
the youngest national manager in the world. So
Wow.
my ego was huge, gigantuan. I had the
Wow.
company car, I had the
Mm,
office. Wow, so pretty. And
mhm,
do you know what? As soon as my arms started to give out, they didn't want a bar of me. So watch who you are following, because if you're following somebody that, or a group or a corporate entity that you
right.
think they're going to look after you, we
Oh,
really have to learn to look after ourselves. So
of course.
before my snap point, I would say I was on a very dangerous line. I was working too hard, ignoring my relationship with my husband, unable to visualize a non corporate future. And then after my snap point, so I was without a job, I was down at the physiotherapy pool, meeting people with terrible disabilities, and realizing that we could all do something because we had the power of our mind.
I love that.
So they
Yeah.
were the first people that I trained. Those people down at the physiotherapy pool where we called ourselves the mutants. So we all had something wrong with us. So it's really
Don't
probably
say
not that
it.
complimentary,
Yeah,
but
exactly. I was going to say, let's not use that word. I mean,
when you're in the group, you can do it. So
wow.
that to me was the beginning of me realizing that I had a duty, an obligation to help people excel. And
Right,
if I didn't explore this, then who
right,
was I? So the before and after was dramatic for me. And I hope that people don't have to reach a snap point to be able to move forward with their life. I hope
right.
they can manufacture that before and after for themselves so that they aren't having to be forced into a corner and come out fighting. But
Right.
if you are in that corner right now and you're listening to this podcast, just know that within you, you have more strength
I
than you
love
have
that.
ever imagined.
I love that. I love that, especially when backed into a corner, you realize your snap point. I love that. It's of course, the snap, very familiar. If you're into Marvel and all that, the snap where everyone disappears is your before and after, where the whole world changed, the universe changed. What do you do? Who do you are? What happens then? And you have to dig deep inside and learn all of that. As far I understand that this is, of course, you are a six-time best-selling author, and you just have you talk about all of this. You talk about very deep psychology in all your books, but you have a new book coming out called Psychology Secrets. Talk
Nearly
to us a bit.
investing psychology
Invest there,
secrets. There we
investing
go.
psychology
This is my new
secrets. Right?
baby.
Oh, it's I mean, talk to us a little bit about that. It's been taking a while, and now it's out. Um, it is your seventh book, or
So
probably
this is number six. This is
number
number
six.
six.
All right,
Yes.
there you go.
Yes.
It's going to be another bestseller, if not already. Talk to us a little bit about that, Louise.
Yeah, it's just been so exciting releasing this book. It is
Mhm.
about data driven methods that you can use to improve your mindset, whether it's in the share market, whether it's real estate, whether it's business. We all need these
I
mental
love that.
hacks so that we can
Wow,
improve.
wow.
So I've got one for you now, actually. So you've got something to take away. I like a try this at home tip. They're always fun, aren't they? So if you are under pressure, I want you
Hmm.
to add one new tiny bit of stress. Now, that
Right.
stress should involve something to do with your community, something physical for you, or something that's outside yourself. Now, why does this work? Why
Hmm.
does adding another piece of stress onto our already busy life work? It's because
Wow,
it takes
I love
the
that.
view away from ourselves. We take our eyes off ourselves and we put them onto other people. Now, that simple action actually depletes stress in the body. It sounds counterintuitive, but
Mm.
they have shown that your cortisol level drops. Now, my book, Investing Psychology Secrets through tradinggame.com.au, that takes you through a whole heap of mental hacks. What are your money scripts? What are the parental information that your parents have passed on to you that have actually fouled you up currently, and what you can do about it. So it's full of different stories as well, because I'm a storyteller at heart. So
Wow.
I know everybody who's received it, I mean, it's just so new. It's such a fresh book. It is so exciting to get the feedback, and I've just been loving it.
I mean, I love that you're sharing again all of these insights because again, when it comes to trading, psychology is, thing, but I love how you're not just talking about trading, you're talking about everything under the sun when it comes to investing because, it all comes down to our mindset. And again, the question at the start of this, is it the secret sauce? It definitely is the secret sauce, especially when it comes to trading. To start truly wrapping this up, to circle us back into trading, emotional management is I feel is the biggest obstacle when it comes to overcoming or it becomes being successful with trading because we get FOMO. We don't want to, oh man, it's probably going to go up. I need to stay there, and then it falls down, and then or like I'm going to sell now, I have to sell now. We get scared. What would be your number one advice when it comes to managing emotions, is particularly when it comes to trading?
Number one advice. So In trading and in life, the difficulty comes with the extreme of emotion. So the ideal trader has a detached view, regardless of what's happening in the markets. They don't have that joy despair roller coaster. They are more calm and
Mm.
smooth. So at
Right.
those extreme views, that joy and despair, they're the areas that actually make the biggest difference, because with joy comes euphoria, comes overtrading. With despair comes backing away from the markets and not
True.
trading yourself out of
Yeah.
your situation. So they're the areas you need to focus on. And the biggest tip that I can give you today is write down in your journal. I call mine my morning journal. Write down in your journal what you are experiencing emotionally. Just aim to keep your pen moving. Don't
Hmm.
stop. Just keep on writing and let
Hmm.
all of the things, the bad juju, all of the things come out of you onto paper.
Right.
Now,
Okay.
once you've done that for a few weeks, you'll start to spot trends. That introspection will
I
start to
love it.
feed into
Wow.
calmness in other areas of your
Love
life.
that.
And it is clinically shown through double blind tests that the
Right.
people who do this actually have less extreme emotions in future trauma. So,
Right.
not
Right.
only are you helping yourself heal your past, you are also future proofing future trauma and your
Right.
reactions.
I love that. I love that. Louise, it's been a great, insightful episode. I love that you have joined us today. I mean, you are lovely. Of course, the energy is great. I love it. That you have this much energy, enthusiasm with what you talk about, especially with what you've went through as well. And I appreciate that you are sharing that story with us as well. Louise, one last thing and one last bit of wisdom that you would love to share with us today. Take the audience, take us home.
I would love you to come and visit me at tradinggame.com.au. I
Hmm.
have something beautiful to give to you and every one of your
Oh,
listeners,
wow.
Joshua.
All
I've
right.
got a free trading plan template to
Mm-hmm.
help guide
Mm-hmm.
your business in trading, and also my free Trading Made Simple 5-part audio e-course. Now,
Wow,
what
there
this
you
will
go.
do is it will give you the big, broad perspective about
Wow.
trading and about the
Exactly.
markets, all of those basic things that perhaps
Mhm.
need to be filled in so that you can become an exceptional trader. So
Right.
register your details at tradinggame.com.au. And also, Joshua,
Hmm.
I run Talking Trading. Now, Talking
Yep.
Trading
Yep.
is my beautiful podcast. It is how traders excel. I'd love you to visit me and to
Yes,
subscribe to
of course.
Talking Trading. And Joshua, I know that I'm going to be releasing this episode onto Talking Trading. Could you give everybody listening a lowdown about what they can find on your podcast and how my traders can get in touch with you?
Oh, absolutely. Luis, I love that opportunity. This has literally never happened before, but I would love to share this. We are Business Story of the Week. Of course, Louis has been such a great guest on this episode as well. We talk about everything under business. We talk to our audiences of startup entrepreneurs, corporates, executives. If you are looking for inspiration and motivation in your business or in your career, this is the show to listen to. We invite everyone, uh, you know, all guests to inspire you and motivate you in your journey, but not just in business, but life in general as well. I mean, you talked about stories as well earlier, Louise. We are all storytellers at heart. Literally, the second name of the show is Stories, so we love stories. If you love stories, come on to the show. We're on all the major podcast platforms. Business Story of the Week. Come visit my socials as well at the Joshua Laurie. And I'd love to stay in touch. Let's stay in touch together, of course, to our audience and listeners, and to you, Louise. Thank you for being on the show, and let's keep in touch, of course.
Absolutely. Joshua, you are an exceptional interviewer. I love it.
Oh,
Kindred spirit from across the way there. So come and join both of our
yes, of
podcasts,
course,
but also remember to tell a friend because that's how we grow. So tell a
absolutely.
friend, make sure that you have got that group of strivers around
Mm.
you. And the way
Mhm.
to do it is to start chatting about our podcast with them. Thanks so much for
Absolutely.
your time, Joshua. I've loved it.
I loved it. I love the time, Louise. The energy is contagious. The enthusiasm is contagious to all our audience and listeners as well. I hope you felt that enthusiasm as well. We both loved it. I hope you vibed with us today. Louise, thank you for being on the show.
Absolutely.
To all our audience listeners out there, see you on the next one.
All right, so here's the thing. We try to get a little bit better every day, but we can't do it without you. So if you like the video, make sure to like and subscribe below. And if you have any comments, just leave them in the space under.